This training video provides an overview of Teams. It's intended for pupils and their parents, in the hope that parents will be able to provide a little bit of assistance to pupils if needed when they're accessing Teams in order to complete work at home. So first thing we need to do is log into Glow. I'm going to be using a pupil account in order to do this, so that what you see is very similar to what what pupils will see when they log in. Normally, when you first log into RM Unify, you will see a range of tiles listed here. This might not be exactly the same as the ones you can see on my screen, and it may indeed have been customized much further to add additional resources depending on the work that the class has been doing in class. We're going to be using Microsoft Teams today, so I'm going to click on the Teams tile in order to access the Teams environment. So once you've loaded Teams, you'll see on the left hand side here a number of different teams. There should be at least one team, which is the class team for your pupils' class. But in some cases there may be more than one team here, depending on the work that has been completed by the teacher already in school. We're going to use the top team here for demonstration purposes. Along the top of this, you can see that there are a number of tabs. That's the main menu for the team. The first item, the posts item, is what you're seeing on the screen now. This is where conversations can take place and where the teacher can share information with pupils, and vice versa, of course. So it's possible for pupils to actually come back and offer comments or ask questions as well. So this is a bit like the Facebook timeline, where it's possible to conduct a conversation, share information, but only people within the team can see this. The second tab provides access to the files area. You'll notice that there are a number of folders in your class team. Again, this will vary depending on the resources that your teacher wants to make available. But the important thing to recognize here is that each of these folders is read-only for the pupil, but read-write for the teachers, which means that the teachers can add information here. They can provide files for the pupils to work with. The pupils can see them. They can look inside these areas. So if I click on this one here, you'll see that we can see further folders inside, and we can access those resources. We can load the files, but we can't make changes whilst they're here. If we were to download a file, of course, we would then be able to access the file. We also have the class notebook. Class notebook is a structured document which provides a number of facilities for organizing content. And typically, the teacher will place things in this area. But if you look at the left-hand side column here, you'll notice that there are 3 different areas, plus there's this one called the pupil test. That's my account. That's my test pupil account. And if I click on it, you'll notice that there are some sections inside the pupils area. Now this is specific to this pupil. Only this pupil can see this, and of course the teacher can see it. So if the pupil was to be given a handout, electronically of course, it would go into the handouts area. If you're doing some homework, it will probably be done within the homeworks area. We'll come back and look at this in a little bit more detail later. There's also what's referred to as the content library, where the teacher is able to provide sections of resources. These resources are all listed on pages, as you can see here within the electricity section. Each one of these pages will have different content depending on the subject that the teacher wants to focus on. As you can see, these can include graphics and links and text. Every team also has an assignments area, which may or may not be used by the teacher. In the assignments area, the pupil will see any outstanding assignments that are available. You can see this one was due some time ago, in fact on the 2nd of October, but it hasn't been completed by my test pupil yet. So I'm just going to click on it to see what's inside. Well, there are some instructions about doing an assignment on Ohm's law, and the teacher has provided a page on which the question needs to be answered. So whilst in here, the pupil can simply click on the screen and can start to make additions and comments. It's also possible to use the draw tools so that the pupil can actually illustrate their answer if they so wish. So I'll close that down now. Those changes have now been saved. If I open the document again, you will see that the changes I made are still there. At this point, the pupil would normally click on the Hand In button here in order to submit the work to the teacher for marking. The teacher would then mark the assignment and then possibly hand it back to the pupil to further review the content. The pupil also has the ability to look back at all the grades that have been covered. Now, if you look at this, you'll see these are all previous assignments that were issued at different dates, and you can see the status of them under the status column here. Some of these were returned. That means the pupil has handed in the work, the teacher has marked it, and has then returned it for the pupil to look at. This one has been viewed, which means that the Ohm's law assignment has been viewed by the pupil, but it hasn't actually been handed in for marking yet. And this one here has been handed in, so the teacher has actually marked that one. You can see it's got marks at the end there. So it's been marked, but at this point, the teacher hasn't actually handed it back yet. So useful to have that summary of all the assignments and work being done. If we click on the next tab, this is likely to be one of a number of different things. But you can see here that in this case, this is a link to the vScene website. Now this is where the pupil can enter the vScene call when a real-time lesson is going to be delivered by the teacher, or perhaps a tutorial session. So the pupil can put their name in here and then can click join. It's important, of course, also to ensure that the appropriate input devices and output devices are selected depending on the setup of your computer or device that you're using.